Good morning, you are watching A News. I'm Katie Wilson, here are the top stories. The US is tightening its trade policies, President Donald Trump to announce 25% steel and aluminium tariffs. EU and Baltic leaders mark the connection of Baltic power grids to the EU. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan dismisses the US administration's proposal on Gaza, calling it meaningless. The US is tightening its trade policies once again. President Donald Trump has confirmed a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminium imports, escalating an already contentious trade landscape. Speaking aboard Air Force One, he said the tariffs will be announced on Monday, with reciprocal tariffs following midweek, applying to all countries. The move revives policies from Trump's first term, when his administration imposed 25% tariffs on steel and 10% on aluminium. While Canada, Mexico and Brazil later secured duty-free quotas, the UK, Japan and the EU were granted exceptions under former President Joe Biden. The US remains a major steel importer, with Canada accounting for 79% of US aluminium imports, while Mexico remains a key source of aluminium scrap and alloy. China's international trade city, known as the Yiwu Market, which supplies goods worldwide, is facing fresh US tariffs, but traders say they are prepared and are adjusting their strategies ahead of President Donald Trump's latest hikes.
The city of Yiwu is China's major export hub for small goods, and traders there say businesses will continue despite concerns over rising US tariffs. Businessmen such as Reng Hao of Jingxi Toys believe profit margins and pricing flexibility will help offset the impact. He says tariff increases won't significantly affect his business, as buyers would absorb some of the costs.
Adding a 50% will not impact us much. First of all, our product is a high-profit product. For example, if I sell it here for 5 yuan, the wholesalers may give consumers a price of 15 or 20 yuan, because this is standard pricing in the US. Even if a tariff adds 2.5 yuan to 5 yuan a toy, the impact on the end consumer isn't too significant. Additionally, they now have a reason to increase prices for their customers, and they will also try to negotiate with us. For instance, they might say, our tariffs increased, can you cover some of the costs for us? And we would agree. After all, they are long-term clients, so we would support them to some extent. The US accounts for about 80% of our exports.
Cheng Haodong, chairman of Baize Group, says his company has adjusted operations already, having anticipated stricter US trade policies. His business was using the de minimis trade loophole, which saw smaller packages being sent through platforms such as Temu and Shein. However, this process has been revoked.
We gathered information from various reports, as well as on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Based on that, we made strategic adjustments for the company in advance. It's not about reacting immediately when a policy is announced. By then, it would be too late to adapt.
Meanwhile, China has announced counter-tariffs up to 15% on US goods, set to take effect on February the 10th. As trade tensions escalate, businesses on both sides are adjusting to a rapidly changing economic landscape.
In the United States, Elon Musk is supporting a suggestion by former acting director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell to shut down far-left state-controlled media. These comments come as the Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency slashes federal spending. Musk posted on X claiming that $1 billion is spent every year to fund Voice of America and Radio Free Europe, despite nobody listening to them. Paris has become the centre of a high-stakes debate on artificial intelligence as world leaders and tech giants gather to shape its future. The two-day AI Action Summit will tackle governance, competition and security, with major powers taking different approaches to its development.
Paris is hosting nearly 100 nations as world leaders, tech giants and researchers gather to shape the future of artificial intelligence. The AI Action Summit, opening at the Grand Palais, is set to address regulation, economic disruption, and AI's role in global power dynamics. France, pushing to define a European AI model, has pledged 109 billion euros toward AI development, emphasizing open-source alternatives and energy-efficient computing. Meanwhile, China's DeepSeek, which recently challenged US tech dominance with a cost-effective AI model, has intensified debates over AI sovereignty. The US approach remains uncertain. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has revoked Biden-era AI policies and faces calls to tighten export controls on AI chips. With American tech firms investing billions, Washington must decide whether to align with global regulations or push for deregulation. Tech leaders, including Alphabet and Microsoft, will discuss investment, AI security, and expanding AI access to developing nations. A $2.5 billion global AI fund is under negotiation, aiming to bridge the gap between major powers and smaller economies. At its core, the summit asks who will control AI, governments, corporations, or the world at large. The outcome will shape the global AI landscape for years to come.
Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania have officially disconnected from Russia's power grid. The three nations are now fully adapted to the European system. This is part of a larger plan to integrate the countries more with the European Union and boost security.
Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania ended their reliance on Russia's electrical system after decades of dependence. The three countries briefly operated on their own before successfully connecting to the EU grid at 12 GMT on Sunday. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the move marks a turning point for the region.
Today, history is made. We connect the Baltic states to our continental European electricity grid. Electricity lines with Russia and Belarus are being dismantled. These chains of power lines linking you to hostile neighbors will be a thing of the past. This is freedom, freedom from threats, freedom from blackmails.
Leaders say the switch will boost security and economic stability. Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michal compared it to the country's EU accession, while Latvia's Energy Minister Kaspars Melnis called it a necessary step toward full independence.
Moments ago, I received great news. The synchronization of the Baltic states' electricity system with the continental European system has been successfully completed. This is a historic moment, marking the end of a long journey for Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia.
The Baltic nations stopped buying Russian energy in 2022 after the start of the war in Ukraine, but they still relied on Moscow for frequency control. Since 2018, they have spent $1.66 billion upgrading infrastructure to make this transition possible.
President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, dismisses the US administration's proposal on Gaza, calling it meaningless. His comments come as the US President Donald Trump says he will take over the Strip to develop it. Erdogan says Trump's plan has no merit for discussion. He says that no one can force Gaza to leave their homeland, saying that Gaza, the West Bank and East Jerusalem belong to Palestinians. Trump's proposal is facing global criticism. Russia, China, Germany and Saudi Arabia have all rejected it. The first Amman Dialogue is underway in Karachi in Pakistan to discuss maritime security issues. A News' Anastasia Lavrina is attending the event and brings us the latest from Karachi.
Hello again. Today we are in Karachi, Pakistan, attending Amman Dialogue 2025. Now we are about to witness something special. We are talking about maritime counterterrorism demo conducted jointly by Pakistani Marines and Special Services Group. More on this issue, as well as about importance of Amman exercises, you can get from our exclusive interviews conducted before right now. The first Amman exercises was held in 2007 and today is 2025. Could you please tell us about its development and special importance in nowadays?
Yeah, thank you very much. As you said, it was started as an idea in 2007 and biennially it has been conducted after that. So if you see, then we started off with about 27 or 28 countries. But now, as of today, you have seen that it is over 60 countries and around 120 delegates they have participating. This is the trust of the other nations which is being bestowed on Pakistan, especially in the maritime domain. So the purpose of this exercise has always been that seas are the common heritage of humankind. And we need to get together to produce the things which are goodness of the people. So that is the theme on which these organizations work. So our theme was, of course, Together for Peace. So unless there is no peace at sea, there will be no trade. And if there is no trade, then you cannot have peace on land and the welfare of the people. So that is where we are working together. And over the period now, it has matured to a level that this time we added the Amman Dialogue. So Amman Dialogue is actually to give a common place to the seafarers, the practitioners, to come up and share their ideas, their experiences, the challenges which they are facing, so that we can collaborate together, make some new strategies, make some special operating procedures, and combine together we can produce good governance at sea, and that is the ultimate aim.
Well, maritime security. In the first panel discussion, it was mentioned that this is very important in the development of any transport communication, transport links, and there is a lot of opportunity nowadays, especially in the partnership between Pakistan and Azerbaijan. So where do you see the future perspectives and how the participation of Azerbaijan in this event benefits the event itself?
You see, all the world, they are considered as a maritime nation, even if they are landlocked or not. Why? Because they have the leverage under the UN Convention Law of the Sea that they can have the sea facilities available. So I think in terms of trade, in terms of economic integration, and in terms of using the sea for benefit of humanity, we have a lot of commons with each other, where we can share the ideas, where we can collaborate, and we can make the people of both the countries to have a better living standards.
And if I may ask you a question about the partnership between our countries in many other spheres, where there is a perspectives for the future collaboration?
Yeah, in the future, as we have started with this Amman Dialogue, this is actually the part and parcel of 1.5 diplomacy. In that, we converge the countries to some common grounds, and then we develop some common understanding, and then develop the political will to work together. So these kind of platforms, eventually they translate into political will, and then they translate into some tangible measures in which we can exchange ourselves economically, we can support each other, and we can work together.
Thank you very much.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.
Could you please explain us what is happening here today?
Good afternoon, ma'am. As you can see, this site is prepared for maritime counter-terrorism demonstration. This is part of Amman Exercise 2025. And over here, we are exhibiting the skills of our Special Operation Forces operators. We are conducting different evolutions. Right now, if you can see that the skydivers, they have jumped from an aircraft from the height of 8,000 feet, and they are landing in front of the main rostrum. So in this demonstration, we have performed different evolutions, starting from helicopter drop, flights, and anti or counter-terrorism demonstration, in which we have created a situation of or simulation of hostage rescue situation. Our SEALs, also in Pakistan we call them SSG Navy, they have exhibited their skills. They entered into the field from sea, air, and land. It was a coordinated attack, coordinated evolution, and we have safely evacuated the hostages from the captivity of the terrorists.
Here, as we can see, not only the Pakistani Navy, there are also other representatives from other countries, right? Which countries are?
Ma'am, there are more than 60 countries who are taking part in this exercise. And they include from Turkey, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and there are many other brotherly and friendly countries who are taking part in this exercise. It is a multinational exercise, and more than 60 reps from the 60 countries, they are present here in Pakistan for this exercise.
Thank you very much.
The Caspian Sea, one of the world's largest inland water bodies, is facing dramatic changes. New data shows that its water levels are dropping rapidly, an alarming trend that experts warn could have serious environmental and economic consequences. Let's hear more from our journalist Aytun Shukurova's report about this environmental issue.
Today, I stand before Maiden Tower, a symbol of Azerbaijan's rich history. According to legend, a young woman once leapt into the Caspian Sea from its rooftop, at a time when the waves still reached its base. Now, the sea has receded far into a distance, a stark reminder that crisis continues to unfold. Climate change and mismanagement accelerating the Caspian Sea's decline with potentially irreversible consequences for economies, ecosystems, and regional stability.
The Caspian Sea, the world's largest inland body of water, is in a state of steady retreat. Since 1995, its level has dropped by 3 meters, displacing coastlines by up to 50 kilometers in some areas. By 2023, the sea reached its lowest recorded level in 3 decades. Scientists warn that if current trends persist, the Caspian may soon surpass its previous record low of 29 meters below sea level, last observed in the late 1970s. A 2023 study in Science found that 2,000 of the world's largest lakes have been losing 5.7 trillion gallons of water annually since the early 1990s. The Caspian's decline is primarily driven by climate change, increased evaporation, and water diversion for agricultural and industrial use. But the broader impact extends far beyond environmental concerns. This is a crisis with geopolitical and economic ramifications. For the 5 nations bordering the Caspian, Azerbaijan, Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Iran, the stakes are immense. This sea has long been a lifeline for fisheries, energy industries, and local economies, but shrinking shorelines are now threatening vital infrastructure and biodiversity. In Kazakhstan, the shoreline near the village of Zhanbay has receded by over 20 kilometers in the last 2 decades, devastating fishing communities, oil extraction sites, and maritime transport routes. The disappearance of water has jeopardized sturgeon populations, a species that has long supported Kazakhstan's caviar industry. Meanwhile, shrinking coastlines have destabilized oil platforms and drilling infrastructure, with growing concerns over long-term energy security. The Caspian's fate draws parallels with the Aral Sea disaster. Once the world's 4th largest lake, the Aral was effectively destroyed by Soviet-era water mismanagement, leaving behind an ecological wasteland. Entire economies collapsed, biodiversity was wiped out, and health crises followed. While the Caspian scale and hydrography make its decline slower and more complex, the warning signs are clear. Without intervention, the region faces a similar fate.
Повышение температур, испарение водной глади, все это влияет на...
Rising temperatures and increased evaporation from the water surface are contributing to the decline in the Caspian's water levels. Additionally, reduced water flow from rivers into the sea has exacerbated the issue. This includes the Volga River, Russia's largest river, which provides the greatest volume of water to the Caspian. Other contributing factors include the construction and regulation of hydraulic structures. However, some scientists believe the shallowing is a natural, cyclical process. Since 2005, the sea level has been declining, marking a peak in this cycle, and it is expected to continue for some time before eventually reversing. Regardless of the cause, forecasts and mathematical models are essential for understanding the likely outcomes. This, of course, necessitates cooperation among the affected states.
We also observed that Kazakhstan and in the future Azerbaijan is also planning to do desalination. Desalination means using the Caspian seawater and making it clean for the internal usage and the demand, which also means Caspian Sea countries using the seawater to clean it and use it their own water demand. It is also because the Caspian Sea countries, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, are facing the water shortages or water issues as well. And if this issue continues, they will use the more Caspian Sea waters for the desalination. And it also means it will also influence the level. Iran and Turkmenistan haven't started yet, but they also consider to start the desalination process as well. So it also affected. So demand to the Caspian Sea started to increase as well. And when we look at the environmental issue, we can see here the oil gas exploration also affect the environmental issues. And technological developments is necessary, and the more strict environmental restrictions and control is necessary to check this process. And finally, there is a new trend this year. It's called the green hydrogen. Kazakhstan is planning to do a green hydrogen in the future. Other Caspian Sea states also express their interest for the green hydrogen. And green hydrogen production requires a lot of water. And this water might come from the Caspian Sea itself, and it can put extra pressure for the Caspian Sea. Green hydrogen requires a significant use of the water, and considering the water usage is quite already high and the shortage is present, this will increase the pressure for the water shortage as well, and also the Caspian Sea.
Despite signing the Caspian Sea Convention in 2018, fragmented policies and competing national interests have slowed progress. Experts stress that stronger transboundary agreements, investment in sustainable infrastructure, and early warning systems are essential to slowing and potentially reversing the decline.
Не забываем про Тегеранскую конвенцию.
We must not overlook the Tehran Convention when discussing ecological issues. In my opinion, many provisions of the convention remain underutilized, and I urge authorities to intensify efforts in this direction. The non-governmental sector is also playing a significant role. For instance, the Russian Ecological Society, in collaboration with the Clean Seas Foundation, has initiated the development of a Caspian Sea Green Standard. Public initiatives like these draw much needed attention to the issue.
The Caspian Sea crisis extends beyond regional borders, posing risks to climate stability, biodiversity, and global ecological health. Platforms like COP29 in Baku and UAE Sustainability Week serve as vital opportunities to raise awareness, secure investment in conservation projects, and push for stronger environmental policies. At COP29, UNEP Executive Director Inga Andersson highlighted the urgency of the crisis, warning that the Caspian's continued decline threatens livelihoods, food security, and regional stability. The Aral Sea disaster stands as a cautionary tale, an ecological catastrophe that unfolded in plain sight. The the Caspian's decline is not yet irreversible, but inaction will ensure a slow-motion disaster that devastates not just the environment, but the economies and political stability of an entire region. The Caspian's fate is still in human hands, but for how much longer?
Yemen's coffee is renowned for its rich history and distinct flavours, but now farmers in the Haraz Mountains are taking innovation to the next level. A new fermentation technique is enhancing the quality and appeal of Yemeni coffee, making it even more sought after in international markets.
In the rugged mountains of Haraz, west of Yemen's capital, Sana'a, a new wave of coffee innovation is transforming the way farmers cultivate one of the country's most prized exports. Yemeni coffee, renowned for its complex flavours and rich history, is now reaching new heights through an emerging technique, controlled fermentation. Rather than relying solely on traditional sun-drying, Yemeni farmers are experimenting with a more deliberate fermentation process. After harvesting, the coffee cherries are placed in sealed bags inside barrels, triggering a carefully monitored transformation.
This process results in chemical reactions within the coffee cherries. In fact, it does not change the flavors. It highlights the inherent notes and flavors in the coffee cherries. Consequently, this process helps to clarify the flavor profiles and notes in a balanced way. Even the acidity is balanced within it.
As Yemeni coffee continues to captivate global markets, innovative farmers are embracing new techniques to elevate this cherished tradition.
We found that this new method is the reason for the demand for this coffee in foreign markets. We started to research for this method so that we can market our products and to be renowned for its excellent quality and flavor. We have adapted with this method, and it is a good method that benefits the farmer.
Professional coffee tasters believes fermentation plays a crucial role in promoting Yemeni coffee abroad, and this method enhances the coffee's flavour notes, texture and overall quality, making it even more desirable in international markets.
We're done for now, but don't go far. Stay tuned for more and have a wonderful morning.